Hello again and welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me in on this GameStop daily review video. We're down 1.68%. We were down yesterday. I said it doesn't look pretty. It was a pretty short video yesterday. We didn't have much to cover. We didn't go through an indicator discussing on balance volume within today's video. Of course, going through our daily price action as well, and we've got some data to touch on for you guys. So, um, we're getting closer to that trend line, right? It's literally right there. We're almost touching it. We're almost to the bottom of our accumulation here as well. We could play the wicks on it if you really wanted, but I think I'm just going to leave that as our manipulation leg and just take the bodies of the candles here from the top and bottom. Let's see if we bounce off trend line in the coming days, which I suspect we will. I'm not sure we get this manipulation leg, but I kind of hope we do. It would be an amazing opportunity and confirmation to this pattern playing out and that distribution leg coming afterwards. So if you missed this, it's a pattern that we've talked about in its own video. Check that out. We could even double bottom, right? Now that's what I think I'd like to see most is breaking the downtrend. Well, it's an uptrend, but the trend line anyways. And then hitting this double bottom within the manipulation leg with the body of our candle, and maybe we get just the wick of the candle down, and then we're back up. So again, I'm still kind of looking for that, and it seems as if it would play out. This is potentially a break of structure here today off this low. Specifically, if we break this low as well, right? Tomorrow. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But, things aren't looking great. Not looking really good. Let's take a look at the data quick, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about our on-balance volume, which we have on the bottom here. So utilization is down to 53% from 65, 67%, 100% during the bonds, right? So that's good. That means people aren't borrowing the stock to short it. And if they are not shorting it, it's a lot of downward pressure that's not being applied that typically is. We have our utilization, again, here at 53, our borrow rate, and then shares available, and you kind of compare that against some of the other stocks in the market if you wanted. I like the borrow rate, right? So the harder or more expensive a stock is to borrow, the easier it is to squeeze shorts because it's harder for them to short. The shares aren't readily available, right? And the ones that are kind of expensive to get your hands on. So the options chain is looking pretty dead. Well, I mean, it is if you're not playing weeklies, that is. So much volume here at the money on those weeklies. Our strike is messed up here. What do you mean GameStop's not trading at 32? I wish. Yeah, a lot of volume here. Specifically on those 23s, just out of the money. The 2350s. I'm not really worth it for me to be playing these personally, but someone is. Maybe they've got that figured out. It's so close to that expiry date on a weekly, and like today's Tuesday already, so the theta is like really clicking out of those. What are they worth? Let's go back and check. Well, I mean, they're worth $50 each. These are worth $30 each. They're not that cheap. These are a little bit cheaper at $7 each, but still, percentage-wise, like let's look at the percentage on these today. These are down 30% today. These are down 30% today. Like probably another 30% tomorrow. So it's like, I hope someone's scalping these intraday and they're not holding them overnight. Or maybe they know something I don't. And then moving out, it's looking real dead. Like not a lot of volume anywhere today, really. I took a quick look earlier. I didn't really see much. Even on the 17th, which is our kind of our go-to day, we're not like seeing a ton of fresh volume. Um, I think people kind of loaded that first little bit up, and now we're waiting to see on that earnings announcement, which we still haven't seen. Um, it's the 26th, about a week left until the expected date. Uh, at this point, with no announcement, I'm thinking that it gets pushed back, right? And earnings isn't until the 10th or something. But we'll have to wait and see. So the options are looking pretty lame. And we actually, I think we were at about 0.51 the other day. Now we're at 0.59. So slipping a little bit more bearish here. Um, but it looks fine. All we need is a move to throw, those 25s, maybe even up to 30 in the money. And then we can go from there. But without that catalyst, without a volumetric event, it's going to be some time for us to trend there organically. So we took a look at that. Utilization is down. We also have the short interest in this post, which is kind of nice. We see it at 17%, but S3 changed the equation for this. So it's like shorts divided by float or whatever. Now it's shorts divided by shorts plus float or something. So mathematically, you could go over 100%. Now you cannot. But you can still do the equation yourself if you wanted. It puts us at about 20%, right? So around 4% it's adding for us currently. So it does, hide it a little bit, but it's not changing it substantially, right? More so on the higher end of things where it will compress it, right? Um, Aside from that, we've got our Rory Kittinger charts pulled up here. So we can kind of go through the indicators ourselves and set them up the same. So taking a look at our on-balance volume today, we have a moving average of 34 on it, and then we're kind of copying that. We did take a look at PMO the other day with a cross, and it looks to be confirmed today. We'll wait until tomorrow, though, to check in on that, as it could be a false set. It could be a false set. We've seen those before. So, on balance volume here is, holding this bottom. I'll pull it up on my chart here, and then we can kind of play with it. First and foremost, it's a volume-based indicator. It's going to add up our daily volume depending on whether the price closed up or down. So if the price closes higher, that day's volume is going to be added. If the price closes lower, it's going to be subtracted, right? And that's how we get this running total. If the price is flat, obviously it's not going to change. And this is what we get from that. Why it matters, I guess, rising on balance volume is when the buying pressure outweighs selling, and then the falling on balance volume is when our selling pressure is going to outweigh our buying. We're going to use the divergences to position ourselves for future movements. Typically, volume will precede price appreciation. Or expansion, I should say. So we can kind of, get, the inside scoop a little bit here. And, yeah, just a running tally of the volume that tells us whether more pressure is coming from buyers or sellers is the main gist of it. So let's zoom out and go to the 1 day here. And we'll see, the whole story. Where GameStop originally squeezed, right? We had this run up, which is really nice, into our squeeze. And then this was super telling at the time, where the price dropped all the way back down, right? But the on balance volume did not drop down, right? So this was super telling. And I think I have an example today we can potentially go through if I can find it that shows this intraday. Because I did notice that once I put this indicator up. So the on balance volume didn't die here, where the price did. So that shows, that the buyers are still there. but we had a massive retracement in price, which is inorganic, right? And this kind of signifies that. And then we squeeze higher, and we squeeze higher again within that volume. But the price is not going higher, which is suspect, right? And then the on-balance volume stays elevated, right? For the entirety of like those 2 or 3 years where the price retraced, right? A little spike here. Not much. Little spikes. Really not much, right? But steadily climbing, right? You see how the average is increasing here. So just like this was suspect and incorrect, right? Where we had this massive price decrease where our volume did increase. We're kind of seeing that same thing just on a stretched time frame, right? Where our volume is increasing, but our price is decreasing, right? So that shows artificial suppression. And a good way to think of on balance volume for me is fuel left in the tank, right? Is there more gas for our price improvement? And it would appear that there's a whole lot of gas still in the tank here. Now, with that being said, we come into our secondary squeeze, right, where we get these massive spikes, and then the bond offerings, right? Bond offering 1 kills it. Bond offering 2 kills it again, right? So that's like a lot of people packing up. But on the grand scheme of things, not much. With that also being said, it kind of did hose us because we had this beautiful trend line, right? With our volume, where volume was steadily increasing, right? But the second bond offering kind of messed that up. So now we're on like a secondary trend, which we're still respecting, right? So, I'd love to reclaim this first one. And then we also want to not lose like some of these lows, right? Like this could be, I'll just use this, right? We don't want to lose this bottom. This is even, resistance becomes support, right? We don't want to lose that support, right? Let's keep that. Let's keep this trend line there. There's not much to talk about here. It's like volumes, we're in accumulation. In a sideways market within the chop, you can get false signals here, the whiplash, if you will. So you could even add like a 9 average or something here, and then this isn't going to look like it's declining. It's going to look like it's on an incline. But I think if we go to the 1 day or the 1 minute here, just to look at it, I don't think I use it on Gamestop today, but you can see a lot of people buying the dip, right? So you can see buyers increasing, even though price decreasing. Now that's basically just the repeating pattern on GameStop, and you make of it what you will. It would appear to be bullish. However, may take some time and a lot of time to unwind. It's a lot of volume that needs to be, rinsed through. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. Not a lot for you guys today. A lot of rambling. And, yeah. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Have a great day, you guys. Cheers.